Imagine you are in a desert. You have lost your way. And all you have around you is sand. Sand and sand wherever you see around. After walking for some time, you will naturally feel thirsty. So you will want water. And at that moment, your brain will start tricking you because it will suggest you at a distance some sort of smoke or fume coming from the ground up. And you will immediately probably run towards it only to realize that it's the same distance further away from you. And eventually you'll come down to a conclusion that it's your brain making up all these things, these tricks that it's playing on you is actually not water. It is called mirage. And you would have seen mirage yourself in so many other scenarios. Where I'm coming down to is that when you come out with a new product or a brand in the marketplace, you're almost like a mirage to your consumers. Unless you come out with a magical solution, which is entirely new and so simple to understand, where you don't have to really explain what you are, then it's a different scenario. But usually it doesn't work like that. Either you are in a CPG or in an FMCG or in a technology or in a SaaS or a D2C environment. Very likely in 2025, the times that we live in, anything that you're coming out with is either likely already out there or you're coming out with some refined version of it because that's what we as human beings are good at. So you would have heard about first movers advantage where you are the first one in the category to come out with, or you're a second movers advantage taker where you come out with something that the first mover has come out, you have made some tweaks to it. And usually a lot of founders adopt this way because there is already a benchmark out there. You already know the pain points and it's easy to sort of fix them and go out. But still a lot of startups till date in today's times fail. Majority of them fail not just because they don't have great products. They just fail because customers don't understand what they actually are. They don't speak the language of their consumers is where I'm coming at. In today's podcast, I am revealing few insights which should help startup founders to think about how to position your product, how to think about marketing, especially because a lot of people talk to me in this time frames that how they should be thinking about marketing from 0 to 1, from 1 to 10 and 10 to 100. Let's start with understanding of system 1 and system 2 thinking. I'm sure you would have heard about this a lot. There's a very popular book where this has been talked about. I will share the book's link in the description so you will have it. But keeping it to system 1 is a part of the brain where it wants to think fast. It wants to make quick decisions. Usually on a daily basis, we are using system 1 almost 90 to 95% of our day. System 2 is the rational part where we slow down, take a bit of time to think about our decision. Now think about when you go to your grocery store, when you are picking up your favorite coffee brand or you're picking up a new loaf of bread. Usually it's the same brand and you can look at it and say that this is how it looks like. Imagine coffee's color now is in black color or is it in yellow color now and it's in red color. And similarly bread is in rainbow format or maybe it's an entirely different color you have never seen before. You will immediately stop there and either of the two things you're going to do. Either you're going to ignore it because you're just like, okay, this is absolutely alien in this space, never seen and heard about it before, or you will probably try it. What's the higher probability here? Very likely you're going to ignore it because that's how we attuned as human beings are. We want to delay all these high cognition thinking to a future time because life is busy. We are all caught up with so many things. I hope when you are listening to this podcast, you have some part of system 2 in function here because it requires a bit of thinking, but that's intentional, right? So how many times would you pick a coffee brand which is not brown in color but is white or some other color? The chances is probably very high that you won't pick up unless you want to attempt it. There's something called the adoption curve in the technology world as well, where people who are great at technology want to try out things. They're usually in the early adopter stage. Majority of the people are towards the later part of the adoption curve. Very similarly, in a startup environment, this happens a lot. People are used to using system 1 thinking and less of system 2 thinking. This is called the cognitive fluency in a more scientific and artistic and marketing science way, which is what you need to understand when you're coming out with your new product and brand. So very likely the problem is not with your product. It is how you're communicating about your product. Maybe people don't understand what you're saying, and this is usually majority of the cases where people actually thought something about your product and brand, related with it in some shape or form, but didn't understand it and so decided to ignore. A key thing that I want you to take away from this discussion is the meaning gap. You want to focus at this stage not at what channel you should be advertising on, but rather focusing on anthropology, understanding your customers, the language that they speak, so that you can come out with that language and right usage of words that they want to understand or they relate with. You go to different countries, different words have different meanings. In my own context, I can talk about a very simple word called shame. Back in India, growing up, the word shame has a very different association with me. When I say shame on you, I literally mean that I'm so embarrassed looking at what you have done. That is shame on you that you did this. In UK, living here for some time, shame is generally used. Please correct me in the comments if you disagree with me. But the way I've seen people using shame here is shame you didn't come to my party or shame you couldn't make it. So it's a very generic. It is not that deeply emotionally connected the way it is back in India growing up. Again, this is my experience. I want you to consider a term like this, a word like this that may have a different meaning for you and you've gone to a different place and it's been used a lot and you have come back shocking. So I'm talking about this some sort of cultural shock or a different meaning and a judgment that you have for a particular word because that's how you have grown up. So the meaning gap is not just simple words saying meaning. Meaning gap here means that there are two people, A and B. A says something to B, but B understands in a very loose and different context and a definition of it altogether, which A never intended it to be like. Imagine that you start advertising so much earlier on with that wrong meaning, it creates more confusion rather than clarity about what you actually as a product and brand are. This is why products like Figma, as an instance, it talks about design together. Very clearly, very simple words, two words saying design together. Think about when Apple came out with the first iPod. It was 1,000 songs in your pocket. It was not about what GB it is, how much storage it has, or is it an MP3 player. It was 1,000 songs in your pocket. So a key takeaway here is that when you come out with your value proposition or a positioning, forget everything else. Think about what your product will do when your consumers are using it. What will they become when they're using your product rather than thinking about what positioning you have. Even in a very loose category like chips or wafers, as you call them, if you simply go and say that you are healthier than Lay's and other big brands out there, then is that what you really want to say, healthier? Maybe talk about what the consumer would become using your product. I would say maybe they will fit into their genes when they're eating their wafers, when they have the knack of eating them on a regular basis, and they are reducing their calories now, as an instance. So thinking from that perspective, what's your consumer going to become when you offer your product to them, right? So key takeaway from this discussion so far is the meaning gap and really sort of going deep into it in a cultural context and coming out with what your consumers would become when you're offering them. Another great brand that comes to my mind is Dropbox. Dropbox came out at a time where cloud storage was partly or somewhere new. So instead of talking about many features, the co-founder Drew Houston actually focused on a very simple tagline, which is your stuff anywhere. This is something that people instantly connected with. Why? Because one, it was intuitively understood that what exactly it means, because it's in a digital world. Your stuff anywhere means that actually you can take this anywhere. Whether you are on a desktop, you are on different devices, you are in a different country, you're in a different environment, whether you're in an office, whether you're at home, your stuff anywhere connotes that easily. So emotionally, it is well understood. Cognitively, as I'm talking about cognitive fluency, it is easier to understand. It's not a lot of load to your brain that it has to think what it is actually able to do. So simplicity towards the end. Based on data, 42% of startups fail not because their product is bad or they don't have a clear winning strategy. It is simply because their product did not find a market need. And again, market need doesn't mean that there was actually no need. If you dig deeper into it, it just means that the product did not find the right meaning in the hands of their consumers. That's the meaning gap. So have a 7-second strategy or a 7-second story. So it's not the elevator pitch I mean to say, take Calm, the app, as an example. It is the number one app for meditation and sleep. How straightforward and simple. So instead, ask your customers, what does this product mean to you, rather than asking, what does it do? Because it will not give you the deep insights, the inertia which is inside a consumer. Because what you are doing as a founder of your product and brand is something that you understand. Your customers don't. Imagine the desert that you are in. You want to make yourself very clear and translucent in front of your customers, and that comes with deep research. For a long time, even Elon Musk never advertised or marketed Tesla. He was the marketer. He is still the marketer. But did you see a Tesla ad until very recently? It is all about that meaning gap and how you can bridge that gap and bring that closer, squeeze it so much that people understand you in their system one, and then you're a rock star. I hope you enjoyed today's content. My name is Rachit Kapoor, and you've been listening to The Marketing Guy. Before I see you in the next episode, until then, take very good care of yourself.